Hello my darlings, in today's video we're doing makeup. In the recent past I have done a very similar video to this and I really enjoyed filming it and editing it and putting it out, and here I am again. I like the idea of focusing on technique. I feel like it is very easy getting caught up with products, buying a particular type of product to achieve a look without truly understanding technique. At the end of the day, as a makeup artist, technique is where my strength lies. Before relying on a product, I have to rely on my technique. The makeup technique I am going to show you brings two things together: doing a makeup routine really quickly and using the strength of powder foundations. I'm also not one to always wear a full beat. I don't feel like I particularly need it, and I kind of like my imperfections to shine through, and that has been a factor in influencing me to create this makeup look. Will you be able to copy this look blow by blow? That's not what I really want you to do. I want you to be inspired. I want you to listen to what I have to say as we go through the routine, so that you can take bits here, bits there, and incorporate it into your own routine. This is also a fantastic makeup routine for the season we are in. We are in summer. It's also a great routine for those who don't want to wear a full beat, as I had mentioned. And it's also a great routine when you just have 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but you want the skin to look extremely polished. Before we get into the tutorial, my intro and the tutorial were both filmed on different days, but I have the same skin down. The same techniques are what I use to create this skin. The only thing that's different is the eye and the lip. But as you can see, I mean, look at that glow, look at that skin, minimal product. The skin is just, it's giving, it's doing everything I want it to do. Last but not least, this is not a makeup routine that will give you extreme longevity. This is something that I place between the 4 to 6 hour mark. You can't touch it up. It's not a makeup routine that wants a lot of strenuous activity. No. This is not the beat that you do when you're going for a festival or a proper night out. You know you're going to be dancing and sweating your pants off. No. This is just for a nice easy day. You're going to be out of the house 4 to 6 hours, maybe 8 if you're pushing it, depending on your primers, depending on the powder foundations. There's quite a bit of context to be taken with this makeup routine, but I really like it. I like how it looks. It makes me happy, and that's why I wanted to share it with you. So before we jump into the makeup routine, just in case you don't know, I'd love to let you know who I am. My name is Ijoma. I'm a beauty lover, a skincare influencer, a pro makeup artist, and a woman of a certain age. And I feel like all these things truly inspire everything that I do on my channel. Because we're using so little and we're relying on powders, your skin prep needs to be the very best it can be. You need to pull in all your primers that you rely on, primers that hold on to makeup, primers that pull back your oils if you do have oily skin, primers that support your dry skin if you have dry skin. I like to just go straight in with a setting spray that does have hold. I don't need this setting spray to be a matte setting spray because I don't like a matte look anyway, and I don't also need this to be a glowy setting spray. I want it to be a proper setting spray, you know, something that got hold. So I really do drench the skin with setting spray, and I don't let it dry down. I move immediately into my skin work. As I had mentioned, this look is very reliant on powders, but I do like to have just a smidge of something down. I'm very minimal about application, and I do like to, instead of going in with a highlighter or a concealer, I like to actually go in with a contour. I feel like the contour helps bring out the shape of my face without me having to rely on highlighters or concealers. And also I love that chiseled look. I need my cheeks to be chiseled. That is such an important part of my look. I don't know why. I just like how pretty it looks on the skin. So that's my first step, is going in with my contour cream, or rather this is a foundation that is of a very deep warm shade. I do stick to a warmer contour when I'm doing this look because I also want this contour to work somewhat like a bronzer. to warm up the skin underneath all the powder. And I just contour the skin in the way that it suits me. I go through my cheeks, attach over my forehead. I will come along the bridge of my nose, and I will also put just a touch of it at the corner of my eye, just to start building an eye look. Just adding a bit of depth into the eye already. Because of the simplicity of this technique, you want every application of product to be somewhat like a power move. Even though you're doing it in a minimal way, let it be impactful. If that makes sense. That's a little bit of an oxymoron, but it will all make sense at the end of the look. I put just a smidge around my chin as well, just whatever's left over from the brush. I then go in with a foundation that's a little bit lighter than my skin tone. I use a foundation that also has somewhat of a pink undertone. I want a little bit of brightening. I want a little bit of cancellation of my hyperpigmentation. I don't have that much, and that's why I'm able to get away with using such a foundation. And I am very minimal. I have a little bit too much product at the back of my hand, but as you can see, I am dabbing away so that when I come to put it on the skin, it's barely there. And I place this where I would traditionally highlight my skin, and that's a touch on my forehead, underneath my eye, just a smidge, top of my mouth, my chin as well, and down the bridge of my nose. And I just really blend that all in. Now, if you're used to a heavy application of product, this is going to seem very strange when you're doing it. You're going to ask yourself, where is my coverage? This is not about coverage. This is about just giving your powders something to sit on so that they don't fall flat, and so that they last just a little bit longer on your skin. As you can see, I never went back to any more foundation. Whatever was on the brush had to be enough. I was gonna make it work. We want to go as minimal as possible, and I just go over everything with my foundation brush, just to make sure everything looks unison. As I said, this look is very reliant on your powders, so setting powders are not the best thing to pull in now. What you need is powder foundations. Foundations that have a little bit more coverage than setting powders. You need to pull in your best ones, you need to pull in your favorites, and you need to be a little bit more heavy-handed with them, because they're not sitting on foundation and concealer. They're sitting on very little, so you can be a little bit heavy-handed, but you must blend. Very important. And you must have powders that really sit well on the skin. They don't go cakey on you. So I'm going in with my yellow foundation powders, because when it comes to highlighting my skin, I tend to go with yellow based powders. And I really filled up my brush, quite a bit of powder. And now I am just really pressing that powder into the skin. Really pressing it into the skin. This next step is not particularly important, but I'm going to do it because I want to really secure this makeup look. I'm doing this in the middle of summer. If I was doing this look in the winter, I would not necessarily need to do this step, but I am going to set my contour with a powder foundation. I'm now going to go into highlighter, and when it comes to highlighter for this look, I am very heavy-handed because I still have a layer of powder to go over this. So I like to be very heavy-handed with the highlighter, just because I want the skin to look as glowy as possible. Powder can make your skin look very matte, as we all know, and that's not really my zhuzh. I'm putting just a little bit of highlighter over the eye to start creating an eye look. I must look a little bit crazy right now on camera, but rock with me. rock with me. Being heavy-handed in this step is going to really lift up the areas that would have been lifted up by concealer. I'm using a highlighter that has more of a sheen rather than glitter in it, so that it can really look like skin. And I'm being, as I said, heavy-handed with the matter. I know I must look crazy, but it's all going to come together very soon. Dang, I do look crazy. I'm then going to go in with blush. Once again, heavy-handed as well, because I am going to come and buff away all of this. I'm going to buff it all away. So I am confident being a little bit heavy-handed. Believe it or not, I only have finishing touches left. I am going to do my brows now, really quickly. Eyebrow tip of the video. I know most people like to do their brows before foundation, but I've found doing my brows somewhere in between my routine has given me a lot of restraint. And sometimes when we do our brows before everything, we can be a little bit too heavy-handed. But when we do them in between our routine or after our foundation routine, you tend to be a little bit more restrained in your application, because you are working around foundation and everything. Your hands and your eyes are like, ooh, careful, careful, let me not mess up. Of course, you can do whatever you want when it comes to the eye look. I'm just going to do something really quickly and easy. I'm going to line my eyes with this blue liner. I'm going to set the liner, as I always do, with a powder shadow. I'm going to add just a little bit more definition at the crease of my eye to follow along with that. Then I'm just going to tidy the bottom of my eye with what I use to contour. Just adding just a little bit more smoke. Mascara. Time to blend everything and make it come together. When it comes to this step, you have to use a powder foundation that is just right for you. You already have to have your color, the color that suits your undertones, so that you can take away all this madness, all this that we have done before this. Otherwise, it won't sit right. I've completely filled up my brush with powder, and what I first start with is I first press in the powder into the skin, and then I start to buff. And I really buff. Filled up my powder brush again, and we do the other side of the skin. I've just retied my turban, and now I'm going to set down my brows to take the powder away from them. I'm going to set them down with a bit of brow gel. I'm now going to mist my skin with a hydrating mist, just to help that powder settle down into my skin. And then I'm going to go in with my fixing spray. Time for lipstick. Now this is one of those looks you will look crazy before you get to the end. You just have to have faith. You need to keep rocking with it. And now we're all done. I look like I have a full B on when I don't really. The skin is super glowy, which I love. I've got a lot of powder on my skin and it doesn't look like that. Love this look. Have been finessing it for quite a few years, and I feel like it will always be in my makeup repertoire. You know, this takes me 15 minutes to do if I wasn't in front of a camera, and sometimes that's all you've got, and you still need the skin to look really good before you leave the house. I open myself up to question down in the comment section. Please don't forget, this is what works for me. What I want you to do is to be inspired. Take a little bit here, a little bit there, and see how you can add it to your own makeup routine. And with that, I want to thank you so much for being here with me. My name is Ijoma, and I'll see you soon.